The other day, I saw a post that gave me pause. It said, quote, "There are more cases of measles than there are NCAA trans athletes. You'd never know it listening to lawmakers," end quote. I read it again because surely that can't be true, can it? So I decided to do some research. According to Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, as of March 12, 2025, there are more than 250 confirmed cases of measles and 2 confirmed deaths across the U.S., with Texas Epidemic Public Health Institute noting 223 cases in Texas alone. Note that during all of 2024, there were a total of 285 measles cases in the US, according to the CDC. So we have almost reached that same amount in 3 months. All right, so we have 250 measles cases. How many transgendered people are in America? Based on a study done by the Williams Institute in June of 2022, there were 1.6 million Americans aged 13 and older who identified as transgender. Of the 1.3 million are adults aged 18 or older. Only 300,000 are adolescents aged 13 to 17. In 2022, there were 333.3 million Americans, which means that only 0.5% of the American population identifies transgender. 0.5%, less than a percent of our country. That's an incredibly small number. So how many transgendered Americans are NCAA athletes? In December 2024, NCAA President Charlie Baker testified in a Senate hearing that out of more than 500,000 total college student athletes, he believed fewer than 10 were transgender. Yes, less than 10. That's 0.002% of college student athletes. It is statistically unlikely for most college student athletes to have a transgender woman on their team. So we have 250 cases of measles and only about 10 NCAA transgender athletes. That is 25 times more the number of NCAA transgender athletes. Insane for so many reasons. Let's just take a moment to stop and think about this. Leading up to the presidential election in 2024, the rights of transgender people was a hot topic item, with Republicans criticizing Democrats' support of transgender rights. On February 5th of 2025, the president signed an executive order keeping men out of women's sports, stating, quote, "With this executive order, the war on women's sports is over," end quote. The Senate is trying to push through a bill that would ban transgender athletes from women's sports. Why are we spending all this time, energy, and resources into trying to ban a handful of people from playing in women's sports? There is this fear, frustration, and anger directed at such a minuscule amount of our population. For what purpose? Why would lawmakers make us believe that this fictional issue is such a massive ordeal that we need to strip transgender people of their rights? Is it maybe because they want to keep us angry at a scapegoat? Keep our focus on a non-existent threat so that we don't pay attention and keep our focus on what really matters? Spend some time thinking about that. For those of you feeling that outrage and frustration with transgender people, ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Who is encouraging you to feel that way? Are these people really causing you problems with your day-to-day life? Does it make sense to still feel that way, knowing how few transgender people there really are? Would you want to trade lives with a trans person? Would you want to be treated how they are treated? Just some food for thought. Also, please get your measles shot if you haven't already.